The destroyers have followed us to the surface.
We need to retake our lands. The sun on the surface is too bright.
A wall. A big wall will keep them out.
What is this?
Typical Asura meeting. You get 3 Asura together, you get 4 opinions.
Everyone, enough! Our immediate threat is the destroyers. I propose that we pool our talents to create a superior weapon.
What do you have in mind, Mamp?
We gather our finest minds. Ula would be the best choice to build a mobile spell-working platform.
I know where Ula is. She's squirreled away in her lab.
We'd also need Gad. He knows the most about containing mystic energies.
And he'll tell you so, every chance he gets.
And Vec, your work with the gates makes you the one to handle the etheric couplings.
Forget it.
Vec?
If Gad is involved in this, include me out. I won't work with that old windbag.
Vec, be reasonable.
I am reasonable. Get Rank instead. He's capable and doesn't have any history with Gad.
As you wish. We're going to need Gad, but no one knows where he is.
I know where to find him. I know where to find Gad. I'm a member of the Shining Blade, and we've been working for him.
Uh-oh.
Problem?
Humans working for Gad? That's a recipe for disaster.
Good morning, guys, and welcome to another episode. So we're back at Vlox Falls. There are side quests to do. There's not actually that many in Ratasum. It's a shame. It's a capital, but it's not got many side quests. I think I actually said that before, but there is the Polymock stuff. We'll go and do some of that maybe next episode. But I want to continue with the storyline. So I've played the cinematic for you there, just to remind us. I kind of found that here at the Tarnished Coast, they give you these 3 quests, and you go off and do one, and then suddenly you're like, hold on, why do we need the other people? And I don't know. That was just me. So I thought I'd play it again for you guys to remind us what exactly we're doing. So we're looking for Gad, another really genius Asura who's quite good at containing magical energies. And for one reason or another, the Shining Blade have been working with him, in particular this Livia woman. Something interesting about her, I said on the episode where we met her that we've actually met her before. I was wrong. I was completely wrong. I thought that we met her at the end of Prophecies. When we completed Prophecies, do you remember we came back to Drachna's Forge here? And we met loads of people in the Shining Blade, and they were talking about what's going to happen to the Shining Blade. So some of them, actually, you've probably forgotten, they mention Livia. She's not there, but she is mentioned. Basically, some Shining Blade people say, oh yeah, Livia would make a great leader for the Shining Blade. But in fact, she wasn't picked as the leader. Someone else was picked, and we'll meet him later, which is pretty cool. So yeah, let's actually speak to her and get on with the quest, shall we?
Be careful.
So she says that Gad is the most brilliant of the Asura. Hold on, we'll get a better shot of her there.
Be careful.
Gad is the most brilliant of the Asura. My fellow members of the Shining Blade have been helping with his research into the Bloodstones. They are currently on the far side of the Sea of Sorrows. The good news is that we can get there by an Asuran gate. Head south and east to an underground complex called the Shards of Arah. An Asura gate on the upper level leads to Gad's encampment. Find Bartholos, the leader of the Shining Blade. He can tell you how to find Gad. So this is a this dialogue here just talks about so many things. The Bloodstones, we've got references to Arah and the new leader of the Shining Blade all at once. So if it will help the Asura, it must be done. This with the Bloodstones, if there was anything in this Let's Play I kind of feel like I did badly. By the way, the Shards of Arah are down here in Arbor Bay, so that's where we're going. If there's anything in this Let's Play I kind of feel like I did badly, it's the Bloodstones. And that's because the story behind the Bloodstones, it's not very sound. Basically, the idea is that the gods gave magic to all the races on Tyria. But then, despite that, some races already had magic, like the Massat and the Seers. And then war broke out.
I'm busy.
A famous human made a trek to Arah where the gods were living and pleaded to Dwayna, please, you've got to stop these wars. So basically the magic that was given to the races of the world, and not just humans, all races, so like these Krayt, supposedly, according to the story of the Bloodstones, supposedly these Krayt would have got their magic from the gods. But then essentially the idea is that in order to stop these wars, the gods, Dwayna, she decided, alright, we're going to spread out all of the magic into these 4 Bloodstones and one final one called the Keystone. And that was quite a big plot in Prophecies, as you know, because we actually found one of the Bloodstones, and in fact it ended on top of the Keystone at the door of Kamali. But it's all kind of vague and a bit poorly written. It kind of seems to me like a bit of kind of rushed out lore they wrote when they were first developing Prophecies, because the idea of it was kind of a story to explain humans, why the professions existed, essentially why you couldn't be a mesmer that also used skills from millions of other professions. So it was kind of one of those weird stories that was written sort of as a justification for some kind of gameplay mechanic, and it's not really been gone back on very well, I don't think. Maybe it's just me not understanding the story that well, but I've always kind of found it as a bit of a weak story and kind of hard to explain, and my Prophecies Let's Play did kind of suffer for that. So, hopefully I can explain it a little bit better here, but we found another one of these Bloodstones. Really, they're all mysterious. I guess you could... It's all a bit like, you know, the map travel. That, again, is another one of these situations where you seem to... Oh, there's another shrine up there. Oh, he won't have anything interesting to say. It's kind of like with the map travel, where they had these kind of really weird, half-baked attempts at a story why it exists, and now it just seems to have been completely abandoned come Guild Wars 2, because just... things in the world don't make sense if you account for map travel as being a real tangible thing. But the problem with the Bloodstones is the story they wrote for it is actually really kind of cool. It's a pretty cool story, right? But it just needs more elaboration, I think. I think eventually they're going to have to explain it as something did happen. These Bloodstones are real things, but I think eventually they're going to have to explain it that humans just remember the events wrong, and really it's just myth, and it wasn't the gods giving all races magic, or it had something to do with the Elder Dragons or something. At the moment it's just all a little bit murky, but essentially that's all you really need to know, that this is one of the stones that portion magic out, and Gad seems to have found one, so he's working with a shining blade to figure that out. We're actually quite close right now to the Grove. Actually, are we? Yeah, the Grove's about here, so we're not actually going to be going to it. Just like I said, we're going to do it at the end of the story, at the end of Eye of the North. Which is going to be quite weird, because I usually end these Let's Plays sort of on the final cutscene kind of thing, but this time we're going to see the final cutscene and something quite cool. In fact, the final cutscene is probably my favourite of this one, just because it's got so many mysteries. It's something really amazing happens with Livia, to do with ore, as it happens, the Shards of Ore, which we're about to go to, so it's, and the Sylvaria sort of mentioned in it and stuff. It's pretty cool. So yeah, we'll go to the Grove then. I'm actually quite excited about the Sylvari now. I wasn't for a long time. I don't know, I guess it's kind of the kind of fairy dairy elf type character. I hate saying elf because they're not elves. They really aren't elves, but everybody thinks they are. And I've never really cared for playing like a dainty kind of character, but they've just, as I'm filming this, revealed the redesigned look of the Sylvari, and they look a lot less like humans with green skin, which is just brilliant. So I'm a little bit more excited about them, I must say. We're in the middle of Sylvari week, and laws coming out about them and stuff, so yeah, it's kind of exciting. I want to show you the Grove, but yeah, we'll have to wait, guys. It'll have to wait. So yeah, as you can see, we've just got loads of crate around here. Loads and loads of crate. As I say, there's lots of them, but they're not really that dangerous. I mean, the lore for them, particularly come the second game, as I said, they're quite menacing, quite dangerous, but they're just really easy to kill in Guild Wars 1, so they just seem to throw a lot of them at you, which is just the worst thing they could have done. If they wanted to make these guys look threatening, you know, murderous and evil, couldn't they have just, like, had one or two, but really powerful, so you kind of really crap yourself? Like with the dinosaurs, the Ceratodons and stuff. But yeah, so we're going to go to the Shards of Ore, which is just down here. This is a pretty cool dungeon. The story in this dungeon is... I don't know whether I just like it because it gives you a lot more detail on ore. Again, this is a situation where the main storyline is going to take us into the depths of Tyria, and there is a dungeon associated with it, like the Vlogs and Excavations we went through, but we're just passing through at the moment and we won't see the story. But this, the story here... I've mentioned that maybe some dungeons I won't do because the stories are a bit bland, but this is definitely one that I want to do. It's so cool. Do you remember Lady Glaive? We stole a diadem of hers in Nightfall when I talked about her a little bit when we went to Gandara. Magrid the Sly was particularly interested in it. I just want to check, see if there's any NPCs around here, because there should be a ghost. Big machine crew member. Yeah, here we go. So this is crew member Chandra. You can speak to her to initiate a quest that takes you deep into the dungeon. Again, it's like a side quest, but it's very cool. It's got lots more detail on not just ore. In fact, it's funny. It's called the Shards of Ore, but and you do get some information about a couple of the kings of ore in this dungeon, but really it's mostly about the Corsairs and about this Lady Glaive. It's pretty cool, but we're going to be fighting a lot of undead down here, which is kind of interesting. Again, don't forget that there are a lot of undead around, or I don't know whether, I mean, in prophecies they lead you to believe it was to do with the Vizier Kilbron sort of being the Lich and stuff, but particularly with all the new information that's coming out about Zaitan being the undead dragon who just so happens to be asleep underneath Ore, I find it a bit hard to swallow that he's the source of all of them. I think we're going to come Guild Wars 2, particularly since this is kind of near a starting area. If you think about it, the Grove will be here. In fact, I think the Grove's like right on the coast if you look at the maps. But anyway, this could be a dungeon, like an early one, that gives you information about Zaitan. Who knows? It's nice to think about all these places and whether we'll actually come back to them. I'd like to. But, I mean, there is a hell of a lot of content in this first game, and they are having to cut things out. It's a shame. I don't know whether I've mentioned this, but neither the Fire Island chain or the Crystal Desert will actually be in Guild Wars 2 at launch. They're just having to cut it, and it's a shame. I really hate hearing about things like that. And this is coming from a game that's had a strict when it's ready policy, and they're still having to cut things like that, which is sad. But these are places we will supposedly eventually be able to go to, so I'm looking forward to it, seeing what's happening there. And I just have to guess, I mean, we're not going to be able to go to all of the dungeons again. I mean, the question also becomes, when you've had a big story, like say we complete this story in the Shards of Ore, is it really worth returning there in the second game? Is it actually not going to seem a bit implausible having another story to do with the undead or whatever here? Unless they made it relate nicely into the first one. I don't know. I'm rambling. You guys don't even know what's going to happen here yet, so it's a bit pointless talking about it. But it's nice. Again, the other thing I like, I've talked a lot about in the Depths of Tyria, how they reused a lot of the artwork. I actually think, I could be wrong, but I think, have you noticed how every time we've gone underground, it's all been a bit unique every time? I think if you just follow the main storyline and don't do any of the side dungeons, you never actually see reused assets. And if that's true, that's awesome. That's really awesome. I think we're actually fighting some new enemies here, by the way. These are the enchanted swords. They're basically just floating weapons. So we're fighting enchanted swords and they're absolutely decimating me here. I should probably... Shit, no, not that. I should probably put this up. Oh, the door went again. Jesus, 2 episodes in a row, I think. Anyway, right, yeah, so what was I talking about? Oh, yeah, the enchanted swords. Or just the enchanted weapons. You see them a lot with a lot of undead. I'm not quite sure what the story is there. I always get them confused with the Forgotten, though. Do you remember the Forgotten? And their constructs that they had, well, they were called enchanted things, weren't they? Which always like messes me up, and I always think, oh, this has got something to do with the Forgotten. Well, they don't at all. They're not associated. Speaking of the Forgotten, they're quite weird. They seem to have just fallen off the face of the earth, which is quite fitting, I guess, for the race, being the Forgotten. But yeah, there's been like no extra information. I mean, you guys, if you've seen Prophecies, you know, and that little bit in Nightfall where we met them again. You know pretty much everything there is to know about them. By the way, these undead are very dangerous. I don't know if I'm going to wipe this place. I used to wipe all the time. I don't know whether it's because of the patrols. They're just horrible. I'm only using henchmen here. Look, Lena's down. We might wipe. But yeah, this place gave me a lot of trouble when I first started Eye of the North. Just getting through here. This is quite a cool quest because this is the quest I was talking, in case you didn't realise, this is the quest I was talking about where it's like an extension to our big long journey. Sort of, we had the big long adventure going all the way to Ratasum. Well, this is sort of another extension. We're actually going across the Sea of Sorrows, which is cool. You don't, like, swim, obviously, but you go through the Asura Gate, which is just another massive leap. There's something they did with the Asura in... Oh, I kind of want to heal up. Are you guys okay? Yeah? Oh, Suru's down. Sorry, Suru. But yeah, in Eye of the North, they did... When they released Eye of the North, or shortly after, I can't remember when, they released this article called The Movement of the World, which expanded the story past what we saw in Eye of the North. See, look at all that. Look at that damage. Which expanded the story past what we saw in Eye of the North, and it talked about things. And it talked about the Asuran race as being sort of this race who are trying to manipulate everyone. Yeah, look, we wiped. That's how strong they are. Jesus. They talked about the Asura as like this race that are slowly manipulating the other races and sort of seeping into society and spreading over the world. And it's quite interesting that I don't know if they've really followed that direction with the Asura along, because now all the information we hear about them, they don't seem to be sort of such a manipulative race. I don't know if they kind of dropped that direction for them, but you can definitely see in Eye of the North, the Asura are everywhere already. Instead of all being in one small location, they're already We've seen them all the way up here at the Verdant Cascades. They've obviously got a big base of operations at the Tarnished Coast here, but also all the way across the other side of the Sea of Sorrows. In case you're wondering, I don't know whether I've explicitly said it. This is the Sea of Sorrows. I think it's also called the Bay of Sirens, or the Bay of Sirens is just a very specific part of it. And I think come the second game, it's called the Strait of Malchor. Or Malchor, I think it's Malchor. I say Malchor. And I don't know why it's been renamed, but Malchor apparently was a character who lived a long time ago. He lived in Arah when the gods lived in Arah as well. And you know the statues of the gods we're seeing? He was the guy who actually crafted these statues. There's this awesome kind of love story with him where basically, I think it's like real mortals couldn't actually look at the gods directly without being blinded. They couldn't do it. And I can't remember the story very well, but I think he saw Dwayna and he fell in love with her, or something about that allowed him to oh god, I'm not telling this very well, but basically something about that allowed him to do the sculptures. It's a very cool story. That will be in the description for this video, okay? So if you want to read that better than I just explained it from my memory. It was months ago I read it. Do give me the benefit of the doubt here, but yeah, it's a good story, and basically that stretch of land is named. Look at that! Oh, I bet it's because my runes are still a load of crap on this character. Yeah, they're not that bad. But I still died anyway. I'm actually kind of scared now. We're just falling over dead. This isn't good. Am I over aggroing? Is it just a super powerful group? Okay, guys, I'm going to cut it till I run back and see what I can do here. Okay, we're back. Right, so what? Is that 2 groups or something? I think it could be 2 groups. If it's 1 group, that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See, it's 8 players. You don't really. For a long time, I always kind of assumed every time I was going up against enemies, I was against the same amount of things that are in my team. But the truth is, it doesn't happen that much. And when it does, I don't know what makes these guys so strong. Is it the fact that there's 8 of them, or is it the fact that I don't know? Maybe their skills have just had buffs, and it's just been unlucky since Eye of the North came out, and now they're super strong. See, what I used to do when I used to play this, I haven't had trouble in this for ages because I'm so used to actually playing with just gimped out, not gimped out, just super strong hero builds. But now, I don't know. Let's flag everyone apart. Do I have a bow? No, I don't have a bow, so I can't pull them. Oh, I keep forgetting to put on my black mower check. Okay, well, I'm just going to go for it. If I wipe here again, then I may have to re-enter the instance with better... I think it's just because Lena and Menlo are such crappy healers. Whatever, alright, I'm going to go for it. Let's see what we can do. Come on, keep me up. Keep me up. Keep me up. Keep me up. That's right, hit the bird. Hit the bird. Sorry, Siri, but... Right, now let's see what we can do. If we can get at least a couple of kills before I wipe. Come on, guys. Come on. Oh, they're blinding me. It's horrible. Okay, I'm dead. Come on. Alright, we got the wizard. A wizard. 8 deaths for 1 kill. Is it worth it? Look at that, it was 2 groups. Awesome. Oh, they're running back. Well, we've got a fair few of them. We almost wiped, but I think we'll be okay. There's only 3 left now, and 4 of us standing. Alright, we're up. Good, and there's only 2 of them. Let's get Suru up. Brilliant. Well, there we go. Yeah, it's a hard fight down here. I'm not sure why. I don't know whether I'm the only one who has trouble here. But definitely on your first time through, do be careful, guys. If you're playing along but watching this before you head on out, definitely look out because they are a bit strong. So what I'm going to do is... Oh, okay, so the exit to Gad's encampment's here. Yeah, this bit's a bit annoying because you wipe a lot there. What I used to find is I used to wipe a lot over there, get really high death penalty, and then really struggle on this last leg because there's a couple of groups that you can aggro. These poison jet trap things, by the way, a lot of them you can just move around the back, and this goes for all dungeons. Just move around the back. I don't know if you can move around the back of that one, but you definitely can this one. I think I'm about to be proved wrong, aren't I? No, there you go. So just try and move around the back of as many as you can. A big part of me is really tempted to just try and skip this group. So if I can get away alive, no, I can't. Shit. I think we're going to wipe because I flagged everyone stupidly there. Yep, I flagged them all into the fucking AoE. Whoops. Okay, guys, I'm going to cut it till they're dead or I'm through. I don't want this to become like a massive struggle the whole way through the episode, so I'll see you guys in a second. Alright, there we go. They're dead. Good. All I did there was I respawned here, so I just kept charging at them after I died, and I made it through pretty quickly, actually. Alright, we're coming up to the end of this dungeon here. As I said, you can go a lot deeper into the dungeon. There's like a key you can get from a boss once you've got that quest from that crew member I talked about, and you can open a gate that will take you into the depths a bit further down. But we're going to just head straight through. It's exactly the same as the Vloxing excavations, really. Oh, another group. Is this the group I can skip, though? I think it is. Yeah, we're going to come out through this Asura gate, which will take us all the way across the Sea of Sorrows, or the Bay of Sirens, or the Strait of Malchor, or whatever you want to call it. One interesting thing about that, by the way, that I was going to talk about, but I kind of talked myself off the topic, was in Guild Wars 2, you know, they've got underwater gameplay. Well, they have described a whole area that's entirely submerged in water, but with just a few islands, which is probably going to be here. So this whole sea, it sounds like you're going to be able to swim through. I mean, how awesome is that? That means you can, like, swim from Lion's Arch to the Grove, or to the Southern Shiver Peaks, or these places we're about to go. I mean, that just sounds fantastic to me. Anyway, so Gad's encampment. Nice Asura gate here. And this place looks pretty cool. I love how it's actually raining here. You never really see it rain that much in Guild Wars, or at least when you do, it's the effect is a bit weak and a bit crappy. But I just love the way the river looks here. Everything about it is just a cool, lush place out in the middle of nowhere. There's a giant swamp here as well. It's just all quite cool. There's even a side quest where we can get an extra hero, which we'll be doing eventually. And yeah, check it out. Lots of Shining Blade. They'll be sort of coming back into the plot a little bit more here. And Bartholos himself, the leader of the Shining Blade. Just what are they doing here, guys? What do you think? Well, we'll find out next time. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I will see you then.